Mario games are truly weird sometimes. Like one time I got to play Go Fish with Mario. I wasn't very good at it. But you wanna know a really weird pair of Mario games? Super Mario Land 1 and 2 on Game Boy. Super Mario Land was made as a launch title for the Game Boy and is actually the first ever Mario game on a handheld console, and as such the game is a little bit rough here and there, but I'll get to that in a minute. Super Mario Land follows Mario's adventure into Sarasa Land to save not Princess Peach, but Daisy instead from the evil space monster Tatanga, who hasn't appeared ever since Mario Land 2. RIP. Starting off, Mario controls fine and his jump is decent, but you wanna know the thing I don't understand? Why does Mario drop like a sack of potatoes when walking off of a platform? Now you may be thinking, but YoshiRoll, Mario dropped like a sack of potatoes in the original Super Mario Bros. Whenever that in fact is not the case. In fact, I have scientific documents that say Mario dropped slower previously. Now this may be due to the Game Boy being new territory for the dev team, but I don't know what developing for this thing was like. The level design is passable, nothing much memorable or unique here, but something I've come to notice a few times is pipe rooms repeating every now and again, which is really bothersome to me. Not to mention sometimes a layout of a specific part of a level will repeat. I'm not sure if this was due to any hardware restraints, but considering we later got games like Metroid 2 and Donkey Kong 94, I don't see how this could be the case, but I'm not sure either way. Something I should note is that this game features some very interesting enemies. We have our normal Goombas, except they're actually called Goombos in this game. Self-destructing Koopas, I didn't even know Koopas could do that in these parts. But anyway, we also have these guys, the Urarans, Gals, and even the... Oh, okay, well it's really unclear about this, but the enemy is actually a robot called a Mechabin. Yeah, as you could tell, this game really tried to be different when it came to its enemies, and I personally like it better than the original Mario Bros., and in general I like it. And the game even features these little submarine levels. These are little auto-scroll levels that tend to last for a good amount of time, and they usually end up coming around the end of a kingdom. And the only other thing I can really say about this game is the bosses were kinda fun, nothing too special considering they were all a bit similar. In the end, Mario saves Daisy from the evil clutches of Tatanga, blah blah blah, everything is good again. Honestly, there's not a whole lot else to say about this game. What it did do was make a fairly enjoyable Mario game, but it left things to be desired. More levels, more interesting concepts, and further improvements to the Mario style. Fortunately, 3 years later, on October 21st, 1992, we got Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, an all-around much better game than Super Mario Land. Now this isn't to say that Super Mario Land is bad. No, it is fun for a while, but it just doesn't have as much to offer as compared to Super Mario Land 2. Super Mario Land 2 features a whopping 32 levels with a ton of improvements, but let's start with the story. The plot follows immediately after the first game, where Mario is returning to his castle after rescuing Princess Daisy, only to find that it's been taken over by Wario while he was in Sarasa Land. And to make matters even worse, the 6 golden coins were spread throughout Mario Land, and Mario must retrieve these coins in order to defeat Wario, reclaim his castle, and restore order to Mario Land. Now then, let's dive straight into the game. Already the game is much better. The controls feel 10 times better than in the original Super Mario Land, and they actually feel like how a Mario game would control now. Past that, we aren't restricted to one direction anymore, and we can go in both left and right directions, meaning the camera can now go forwards and backwards, which is such a nice touch. Like, you wouldn't believe how much that bothered me in the first game. And there's even a load of new power-ups. One new power-up. The carrot, which allows Mario to hover over the ground by jumping and holding B. Not gonna lie, I was kinda hoping for some more power-ups, but I guess I can stand only having free available. Going back to controls, like I said, it controls really well, and we even have the spin jump, which makes for an awesome addition. And the best addition? Mario doesn't drop like a sack of potatoes anymore, and he drops like he normally should. We even have a newly added hub world where we can traverse through the area and choose which zone and level we want to take on next. And the coins you collect are now a form of currency for these little mini games that get you a random power-up, which is a nice touch, though I personally never found myself using it much. And the levels, oh man, they're so good. This game seriously matches up to a modern 2D Mario for me. Speaking of the levels, they're so weird and unique, but boy do I love them. They all have a good theme to them. Like this level has a beehive theme in one section, and then we have levels like this underwater submarine one. They're all really good in my own opinion. Something that isn't so good though is the checkpoint placement. Now mind you, most of the levels handle this just fine, but others have their checkpoints put pretty far back, and when you have no power-ups, it can become a tad frustrating as well as repetitive to try and complete these levels. But the auto-scrolling levels? Oh, these can just go off and turn to dust for all I care. They suck. And the bosses aren't anything to write home about either. For the most part they're fine, but I'd like to see a little more variety in ways you attack the bosses. Their attack patterns are different, but the bosses were just okay to me. The sprites though, man, they've seen a huge upgrade from the original Super Mario Land's downgraded Super Mario Bros. Style sprites. It's nothing amazing, but it's still nice to see. And the music, while still a bit limited, is also great. And of course, we can't go any further on without at least mentioning the Mario Zone. Man, this zone is weird and... Yeah, I'm not sure what the developers were thinking when they let this slide. Not only was the level in the Mario robot thing's crotch, but the same level has a ton of balls in it. I think I'm done here. And after clearing all of the zones, we now have access to what is now Wario's Castle. After going inside, we're met with a freaking difficult level, and it's mostly due to the amount of these stupid statues that were placed in the beginning segment, not to mention this part. But after finally reaching Wario, we take him on as the final boss. He's not too difficult, but I was surprised to see that he has 3 phases. The first phase has you avoid Wario as he runs from side to side, but every now and again he ground pounds, and that causes this little thing to drop down, so it's best to try and avoid it. The next phase gives Wario the carrot power-up, where he uses it to hover above the ground for a bit and then ground pound. Nothing too difficult. And the final phase gives Wario the fire flower, and now you have to avoid him as he goes around throwing fireballs here and there. And finally, after beating Wario, we get the castle back and peace is restored to Mario Land. Kind of a quick ending if I'm gonna be honest, but I'm just glad to see Wario get what he deserves. And that's Super Mario Land 1 and 2 for you. One half-decent game and another much better one. If I had to recommend just one of these games for you to try out, it would easily have to be the second game. Its level design is much better, though we only have one new power-up, but besides that we have 32 levels, a hub area, and we can even choose which zone we want to take on first, meaning we can play the game in whatever order we want. And for the last time, I'm not trying to say that Super Mario Land is bad, but there's not a whole lot the game has to offer, nor does it have a lot of interesting level design. Anyway, I'm YoshiRoll and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.